Right at it. Right at it. Oh,
Jordan
he's
Spieth.
done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Welcome back to reality, episode 128 of the Go Get That Pod. Feels like a hangover as I was at TPC River Highlands today compared to a fantastic week at Pinehurst #2. I don't think we can speak highly enough about it. I know some listeners weren't happy with the course setup at Pinehurst. But happy to hear that because it was perfect. It's fantastic. I hear a lot of people talking about how they don't like the 50-50 lies. Well, at the end of the day, even if it's all green grass, it's still 50-50 whether you're going to get live or not. So it's just a cooler way to bring that into play. I thought it played fair. Thought it played tough. And the winds were pretty low all week. So honestly, taking wind out of the equation, that's about as hard as the golf course is going to play for these guys. And it was fun to watch. It tested. Scott had some comments about how he thought he was tested in ways he's never been tested before, and it kind of rattled him. I think that's pretty cool because he's been the consistent #1 player in the year. And I am not a Scott fan. I'm the biggest Bryson fan out there. Basically, I don't want to hear any of the comparisons. Scotty is still the far and above #1 player in the world. But regardless, I do think that it's pretty cool to see someone who's been that dominant and that impossible to be challenged, to really struggle. He only made 4 birdies all week, and he was never really a part of the story on the weekend. So not something we've seen. As for Mr. Spieth, he putted himself out of another major championship. We'll get into that. We'll get into what I saw today on the grounds at TPC. Of course, in immaculate condition. I have it playing 4 shots harder over the course of the week than it usually does, I'd say. Without looking at the wind, of course. But course-wise, roughs up. The edges around the water hazards have been cut. 13 will be I think will be a hole that plays close to par this year. So a lot to talk about. Big episode. I'm not going to apologize for not mentioning the change in the standings of the triple-double. That's not part of my opening, and it hopefully won't be mentioned at all in this episode. But I'm not worried.
Part of my opening. I'm now on top. Thank you, Mr. DeChambeau, for the triumph at the U.S. Open. Pinehurst was awesome. That was the first event I'd been to outside of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So, you can imagine there's a little bit of a difference between those two events. And man, like what a finish too, right? I wasn't able to see Rory's misses, but I heard the audible gasps. And I was able to see Bryson's up and down. So that was really cool. Really fun experience.
Were you in the grandstands then?
I was not in the grandstands. We went to the grandstands when the leaders were on 9 tee box and the line was ridiculous. And I kind of figured nobody's going to leave 18. So I just walked around with the little radio.
Yeah, you want to know what I heard was the play? One grandstand.
Interesting.
That's where a lot of my friends went. I was just in the fairway. I got a pretty good spot. I couldn't see the puck go in, but I could see Bryson's celebration and all that. I will never forget watching Rory. I saw him. I didn't see the ball, but I on the screen it said what 3 feet 2 inches, and I'm that was a tough putt. I'm not sitting here saying it wasn't. 1 on 16 is excusable. It's still inexcusable to miss a 3-footer, but it was a very challenging putt. But still, I think it's pretty cool that we haven't seen. I mean, we basically just witnessed a consensus top 5 major the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Top five
And
might be conservative too.
and where that sits from 1 to 5 could be debated in an entire episode. But we were blessed with just the course, the history that's at the course, having that be our first time. It's like the stars all aligned. The golf tournament was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you're thinking about going to a major, I know there's some good venues coming up, some historic venues. Pinehurst is back in 5 years. Highly recommend it. That
Yeah.
course is so walkable. I
Viewing
mean,
experience was fine. Like I could see everything I wanted until
Yep.
18.
we missed. Yeah, I mean, even on Sunday, but like just following Spieth around when he was playing, I'd
Yeah,
say I
not an
missed a
issue.
total of about one shot a day. Right,
Yep.
and that's just the tee shot on 5 because that's the farthest end of the golf course. But um, walkable. It was hot, but there's enough shade. And hydration stations were nice. Paid those a lot of visits. I mean, it was as good as I could have imagined. And I'm glad that I got to kind of share that experience with you guys and
Yeah.
see and have it be kind of topped with a great finish as well. So
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Agree with all those points. As the boys kind of mentioned, very walkable, which was nice. It was hot, but I mean, Bob can relate to this back up northeast. It is humid as a mofo right now. I mean, it was so much cooler down there.
Well,
It
yeah,
felt
the
like,
Northeast, and I don't know whether the swamp is too, but it's a heat wave right now for sure. It was.
yeah, and it's
It
humid.
was. I will be at Mr. Spieth's round tomorrow, and I will be leaving directly following that. I have no interest in sticking around in the heat tomorrow.
Yeah,
Won't catch me apologizing for that.
No,
It's gonna be a hot day tomorrow. I think I think it says it will feel like with the humidity 102 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
sounds
Yeah.
wonderful.
which I don't think it ever got there in North Carolina.
No.
No.
I think
It was
the
in the
actual
90s, but we got lucky with the humidity. It was not very humid
No.
for that area compared to usually. Can't complain at all. It was great. Like it was tiring. Like they were long days because we obviously like there's no real way to get close to the course. So you have to kind of stay 45 minutes away, which means early mornings. Short sleeps. But besides that, like it was a pretty doable venue. And also just like I it's such a great area too. Like it's an
Yeah.
awesome area.
Yeah. I was stressing that. I roomed with Dan for the whole trip, 6 nights. The hospitality down there was phenomenal. I mean, everyone we ran into was just super kind, just so much more kind than up northeast. We got a free app one night because we mentioned it was our first night at the restaurant we were staying at. The volunteers were all nice. People at our hotel were just very kind. Looking forward to hopefully, I don't know where the three of us will be in 29, but can definitely see us, if we're still doing the pod, if we're still just into golf, making the hike back down to Pinehurst. The
He's
drive,
still on tour.
yeah, Spieth's still
Yes.
on tour, obviously, as well. Throw that in there with his last year of U.S. Open. What's the word that I'm looking
Exemptions.
for? Exemption running out after next year. But yeah, it was an easy drive from Maryland or from Bob drove down from the DC area.
Yeah,
No
I mean,
complaints, just super
yeah.
fun.
I was talking to Jordan and Dan. And one thing that I realized is like obviously like it's an expensive trip, but for the passion we all have for the sport, it's very feasible to do. So I could see myself at one of the upcoming majors for sure. Oakmont's gonna be tough. I'd love to make it happen, but like obviously there's really no way to get to Oakmont. I'd kind of have to do the same thing. But I'd love to be at Shinnecock, and fingers crossed. I'd love to be at Birkdale because that would be pretty cool. But who knows? That's a long way down the line.
Never too
But
early to start thinking about it.
no. We started. I don't know about you guys, but me and the people I went with, we've been playing this Pinehurst trip for 2 years, so
Yeah.
it's been
it's
a long while.
they're
But yeah.
fun. Especially I think Dan can speak for it. First major. I mean, it's heightened. I mean, you see all the shuttles when you're getting on property. You see all I guess the police. You see
Yes.
people coming from everywhere. Like, I mean, I peeked into just a lady had one of those see-through backpacks. I see an Oregon ID. So, I mean, it's really, you heard people speaking French out there, the Pavon faithful.
Allez,
Um,
Pavon.
Allez, Pavon.
Yes.
I mean, people
Allez,
come from
Mathieu.
everywhere.
The Siwoo Kim camp was big.
Yeah. No, they're cool. It's awesome going to majors.
Yeah,
Don't
it
take it
was
for granted.
awesome. There were a lot of Germans there as well, supporting the former champion. That was
Mr. Conrad, a nice faithful, yeah.
they're something, man. Those Germans are something. Congrats to them, by the way. I believe they won today. So not the
How was it?
Cleeks, but the German national team.
Yes.
Yeah, they're off to a good start. They're the
Yes.
host, I believe, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they're off to a good start. Do you want to get into Mr. Spieth's performance from last week?
Yes, I would like to start.
Well, let me start because I had the
Okay.
stat pulled up. That's going back to the 19 U.S. Open of the data we have. That's 13 of 17 majors losing strokes gained putting.
Chills.
13 of 17, 4 straight, 5 of 6. And the one that he did gain was the 23 U.S. Open where he played 2 rounds and gained by a smidge. So consistently bad with the player at
I
majors.
actually do remember him pouring in like a lot of 10-footers that first day.
Yeah.
Like he was hanging on to deer. What did he shoot the first day? Like 72?
Yeah,
Three?
it was gnarly though. It wasn't pretty.
No. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, this is as bad as I can remember since Kiowa, though. I guess this was on another planet.
Statistically, it was way worse.
Yeah. Statistically, this could have been
It was his worst major putting. Yeah, this was his worst major
this
putt of his career
statistically, like this
by a long shot too.
he could have won the tournament with fairly average putting this week.
Yeah, he lost 6.5 shots putting. I was actually asking Dan because Dan was checking like strokes gained as we were around the grounds where he would have been if he putted averagely. And he would have been if he putted averagely. Let's see here.
I think it would have been a top 20 if he was like field average.
Yeah, top 20 fields average.
And if I think he
He
probably
also
would have.
He also chipped and putted it pretty feebly.
Yeah.
The chipping was not good. I know the around the green numbers are positive for the week.
He's between a
But-
T12 to T14 if he puts averagely.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
No, it's it's tough too because that's the best approach week in over a year, 14 months since he's hit the irons that nicely. And so to not pay him off in that way was disappointing. And I think at the end of Thursday, I mean, we, said we felt bullish going into Friday, but when it was kind of the same thing on Friday, a lot of missed putts and a lot of pretty good chances. And then that, finishing after getting it back to even and bogeying 3 of the last 4, you could kind of tell that it was obviously not going to be the week, but also going to be a frustrating week in terms of what could have been.
I want to ask you, Dan, when's the point? Because obviously we are mentally ill, but
Yes.
when that putt went in on 5, we truly did believe like there was a chance he was going to be in deep Sunday contention. How quickly did it die for you? Like what was the stroke on what hole that ended it for you?
I think it was.
I think ours is the same.
It was 3 holes later, on 8 when he.
Yep.
I mean, it's the missed green from 170 is tough, but he missed and if you're gonna miss, left was fine to a back right pin, and just not a great chip shot and missed the putt. And I think at that point, I think you noted it after the round. You were like, your soul kind of left your body after that putt, and it really did. I was kind of crushed. And the bogey on 9 was inevitable. It was good shot, just carried it too far, and that's going to happen around Pinehurst, and that is what it is. But and of course he made that putt, but it was just like
that was a stab in the heart, frankly. Like I hated seeing that putt go in. Like I was visually angry.
Yeah.
Like I stomped my way out of the 9 grandstands. and plopped my way down after getting a cheeseburger down and like couldn't
Yeah.
move for an hour.
Was it a
Yeah.
cheeseburger or a BLT?
There was cheeseburger that day.
Okay, yeah. Also, just shout out to the BLT vendor.
Shout out to the BLT.
Those were phenomenal all week.
As good as
Very
the
good.
value was just unbelievable
Yeah.
too. They gave you so much food.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then obviously just tough finish on Thursday as well. That was one of those rounds. Did he bogey 16? No, he 3-putted 17 to go to 2 over. And you're like, this is just not a 2 over round. If anything, it's 2 under. At best 3 under, but yeah, at worst, I think Thursday, Friday, we were talking about how he couldn't have played it much worse. Like instead of being 3 over, he maybe could have been 5 over, but he also could have been 4 under, and that
Yep.
was, I think, what kind of
It
dragged the
sucked.
most. And then the Saturday potential for thrusting was thrown out the window 2 holes in.
Yep.
And that, just what seemed to come with so much kind of promise just disappeared pretty quickly. But reasons for both optimism and also reasons to be kind of frustrated or feeling a little bit more on the glass half empty side as well.
Here's the thing. Is as frustrating as it was, that first round was so easy. Like it was
Say
so
all
easy
of
to
them were
watch.
easy except round 3.
Yeah,
Round 3
like,
was
at the
tough.
end of the day, like that's the type of golf that. And do we want him to be this player? No, but that is the type of golf where you can win any given week. Like he hit the ball unbelievable. And we also talked about this, Dan. Like it sucked that he didn't take advantage here because you almost feel like with the way he was putting the ball, he shoots the same score at another course or similar, but you're not taking advantage of the fact that everyone else is tricking up. I mean, like he was hitting shots into holes that were probably the best of the day. Like that shot on 2 that second day, that shot on 9 that last on Sunday. Like those are shots that were top 3 of the day. Like we were just hoping for par and run, and he had a 9-footer for birdie. So,
but he missed.
He was hitting it unbelievably. He was truly hitting it unbelievably the first 36 holes, and it dropped off a little bit in the third round, and then Sunday was fine. If that continues, top putter away from being in deep contention, and there's at least a path now to contention at events. There was really no path with the game he had before.
Yeah.
It seems like the risk is less of an issue. If he committed to John Deere, he hasn't completely thrown the towel in for the season.
Yeah.
He wouldn't overplay himself if he was still hurt like that. And again, first time he hit the irons, maybe it was mental, maybe it wasn't. Who knows what's going on there? But it was nice to see him hit some greens. And I'll just lead into the play I saw today. Swing looked a bit different, which was a little concerning. It looked like he almost had 2 putters in the bag, one with each shaft.
Ooh, look at that.
That he was switching in between, but I think he's sticking with the normal one.
Why not?
But
Only up from here.
Yeah. He didn't do anything great. Like he put just a lot of shots to 15, 25 feet, but he wasn't missing greens like he was 3 weeks ago. So I don't know how to judge that. Maybe his iron play just got complete. Maybe his ceiling and his floor and his iron play is just very similar. And that helps you at a course like Pinehurst, but doesn't at most of the other tour stops. So we'll see. But yeah, he did 3-putt a few times today.
A few times.
Well, I'll say
holes.
twice. He 3-putted 18. And then 2 of the other ones he picked up 8-footers. So I'll give him one of them. Maybe
Up to three 3-putts and 9 holes.
That's brutal. My thought, because I saw your You sent something to us, and I
Yes.
think it was 5 fairways, 7 greens, generous even par.
Yeah.
I'll take 7 greens is nice, 5 fairways pretty nice. And he teed off at 7:30, right?
Yeah.
So
He
I
was
mean,
on
maybe
time.
maybe this is
Yes.
totally inaccurate, and me just being
Don't give him the benefit of the doubt for the
a
early tee
a
time.
an
please.
optimist. Like, do you think he even showed up to the range to hit like
Oh,
more
come.
than 10 balls before playing?
Yes.
Come on, that.
Did he?
Well, I was marching my fat ass out right at 7:30. So
Was it pants for you today?
no,
Okay,
it was not.
nice.
It won't be pants this week. Maybe Sunday if Jay Spieth earns my classy look. We'll
Yeah.
see. Um,
Like, my
but
guess is he didn't go through a full warm up before the night.
no, but that's not an excuse.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not
Um,
saying that like this makes
he
me think
must
he's gonna
have because
win.
I don't think he practiced very long after. But who knows? Maybe he didn't touch a club the last 2 days. No, that can't be true.
No, he definitely did.
Definitely
Did
played.
you see the pre-shot, or was that just gone?
No,
Okay.
which I don't love because the pre-shot was trying to get him to hit better draws, and his miss was right all day.
I do.
And they were
so
big right, like he looked like he was trying to draw it, and it did the opposite. So I don't love that. I don't know why when you hit it like that in the first 2 rounds, you just remove it mid tourney. But
Yeah, I think he did it round 3 too, and it wasn't great. But then didn't do it round 4 at Pinehurst, and actually hit the ball really nicely on Sunday. So kind of just a mixed bag of sorts at this point. Short game also wasn't good today, per your eyes, correct, Mr. Bob?
what'd you say?
I said the short game
You
wasn't
must have cut
good
out.
again today.
No, 0 for 3.
Nice.
0 for 3 scrambling.
That's lovely. Okay, so
All 3 of them were 50-50s for someone of my caliber. Maybe
Okay.
maybe better. They were all very straightforward chips. One was a bunker shot on the upslope. The other 2 were fairway, short, or like within 15 yards of the hole. So, and he tried to bump and run both of them, and they all were 20 plus feet past.
Oh, so he was long.
Yes.
That's a difference from Mr. Pinehurst, where he left everything short.
That's a good point.
Well, to be fair, Pinehurst, you kind of have to miss short.
True, but he left everything way too short.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It's
I don't know. I'm not
I listen.
gonna put
I
in
don't
stock
like.
into the
I
long
go
miss,
every.
but
I go
not getting up and
every.
down a lot is kind of that's
Yeah,
just-
I go every every year to the practice rounds, every tournament I go to, just because I like to. I don't like to put too much weight into it, but I do like to see, like, I don't know. I'm more concerned about the way that he was like. I don't think he went through I don't think he was sending over the ball with any with much thought. But you should never on Wednesday be putting 20 footers 9 feet past.
Yeah.
That just means you're way off in your feel. And same with around the greens. Like all 3 times the people in his scramble group got up and down for the team from his spot. So
Hey, at least the team was doing well.
yes, well, congrats to them. They top 20.
Top
Did
20.
he-
Wow.
Could have been better if Thomas had thrust them up a bit at the end.
So is Mr. Spieth or Mr. Thomas better?
Well, I didn't watch any.
Well,
of
based on the score, what did Spieth? Do you know what their pro-am score was?
There were 6 for the 9 holes.
So what was Mr. Thomas and co?
I don't know. I just know they
Okay.
were top 21 out.
not good because 13
Understood.
won.
Oh.
So if Thomas just replicated Spieth, he would have been top 5. But
Yeah.
So it sounds like Mr. Thomas was the problem.
Well, yes. I believe Mr. Spieth was carried to a victory.
he did
Understood.
make an eagle though, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was well, yeah, he did make an eagle on 13.
Give it to him, Bob.
Very well played eagle. He played to the heart of the green. Good, nice, tight draw. Poured in a 30-footer that just dripped in.
Was there a fist pump?
Yeah, a little bit of one, like a
Yeah,
hesitate.
nice. He's
Nice.
trusting early on Wednesday.
But
No
I must
bogeys,
play
only
devil's
eagles.
advocate and say that he tried to fire. He tried to play a different shot. To a right pin. And put it in the middle of the pond. Missed the green about 30 yards short. Looks like a bit of earth was taken. And proceeded to spin the third shot into the water again. So
Okay.
we're glad that he played the first ball. For the team.
Yeah, for the team.
It was a nice eagle, nice touch.
The Hags are paying good money to play with them.
Oh, yes. Yes. I can't even imagine how they got on the course.
Isn't Chris Berman out there?
Couldn't tell you. Didn't know their names. Just
Okay. I know if he's
it
playing
was
with
cool
Spieth.
listening to their conversations, though.
Yeah. I'm sure they probably wasn't too crowded at 7:30 in the morning, right?
No.
That's nice. That's awesome for you then.
Yeah, it was.
Well, sounds like still some areas to improve.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing. But 4 rounds this week, regardless. And hopefully we play them well. I don't know any other. I'm trying to think of. The massive news kind of in between was he's headed back to Silvis, Illinois, for the Classic, the John Deere, which was removed out of the 5th major spot for Craig Ranch in recent years. But if there was room for a 6th major, it would probably be that. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it fits the schedule. I think it's cool. I have no problems with it. I kind of dig it, actually, because that'll mean the Open is the 3rd of 3 weeks.
Does he play in the
Which
Scottish?
I think he's definitely playing the Scottish. Has to.
I've been asked that. Makes you think.
There's no, I don't think you play the Deer unless there's like a wedding or something during the Scottish, which would just be ridiculous. But, which is possible, I guess. So there's a few % chance he's not in Scotland, but I think it's more of there's a couple of weird 2-week breaks kind of after the Open and before the Scottish. And so it's like, why not play one more to get the Open being the 3rd of 3 weeks in a row? And I think that's smart.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like the decision. I think there's good memories there.
Was he 2 for 2, or did he play it in 14 as well?
I think he played in 16 and 17 too.
Okay.
Really? Yeah, he definitely played in. So he played it before he won in the Open, I think. But still, there's good memories there. Don't get your hopes up. It's not a course that fits his game at all right now. I don't know if you could put him on any course in the world where he can fire the score needed to win that golf tournament. But it is a much lesser field, of course.
Spieth's first time here since 2015.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's only played it 4 times.
Yeah, 58th and 12. The triumph in 13, T7 and 14, triumph in 15. Wow. He won the 13 Deere, gaining 2.75 shots to the field per round, which is crazily low.
It was bunched up.
He gained more at the Century this year and finished not a distant 3rd, but like he gained more at Memorial last year and gained 3.1.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The more you know, Dan.
The more you know.
I mean, it was a playoff, so it was the more bunched, the
True.
less of a runoff. But
Very true.
yeah. I'm just taking a look at Mr. Spieth's data page. You look at his little green skill profile. He's negative putting now.
Yeah, I just saw that too, actually. He's below tour average in the putting skill. That is stunning.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this week is interesting, right? Because the 3rd of 3, he's got a week off next week, and then the Deer. So skipping Detroit, which I don't blame him, but
Maybe.
he's not playing 7 in a row. But like I have a desire to be optimistic because the ball striking numbers were great last week. But I think at the end of the day, if you maintain that, you're hitting it like Scheffler level. And I just don't, it's just not maintainable.
He's gained on
So-
approach in 5 of 6 rounds. So can't really complain with that, can we?
It was better Friday at Memorial, and then 4 straight for the first time. And I did not do the research, but I'd have to imagine in a long time.
Oh boy, I'm still scrolling here.
So, well, when Jordan gets there, he'll let us know. But really, like it says the around the greens gained in 5 of 6, but that's just got to be a lot better if he wants
2023
result.
Memorial was when he last gained.
Okay,
He
so
gained every day at Memorial.
over a year ago.
Can confirm
Pretty feeble.
Mr. Berman was out there, and there was some swass that has been captured
Swass.
by the media. Yes.
Wow.
It appears that his khaki shorts changed color very much.
He's a big fella.
Congrats to him. Yes.
It was hot. It was hot.
Yes.
That's
Continue.
It's tough for the Berman camp. Yeah, well, I don't have much to continue on other than it would be nice to see some very good approach numbers again this week, and maybe he just makes putts, but that's unlikely.
I feel like my take on it after seeing today is I don't think he's quite as sharp as we thought he was just because of the course. Like I don't think you're going to see his stroke gain translate here approach.
I think that's valid.
But what is good is, I mean, there were shots he was hitting like at Colonial that like those were 8 handicap misses with the irons.
Yeah.
I think those are kind of out of the bag now, which is nice. And that's a big step in the right direction because like that means that we're a lot closer to sharpness. And there's a reason why in recent weeks we've talked about how he has a 0% chance of winning, and that's because like with that miss in the bag, you can't win at this level. So it's good that miss I think is out of the bag. Driver lacked a little bit last week compared to what we've seen, but it was still fine. It was
Mostly
okay.
Saturday.
It was okay today. He didn't hit many drivers. The two fairways he missed were with driver, and they weren't great misses. They were far off the fairway. But regardless, I think it's nice I think the biggest point that I've taken away is that miss, like that hybrid on 6 at Players, I think that might be out of the bag, which is nice.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think like we didn't see that much at US Open. There were a couple. The one on 8, that bogey that kind of took my soul on Friday. That was not a great shot. What we saw from there is that the draws are drawn and the fades aren't fading as much as he thinks they're going to. Honestly, it's like a tight little cut right now, and he's set up for like a 10-yard fade, and I would call it straight as a 5 handicap, but I'm sure there's like 3 feet of curve or whatever. And then on 18 on Saturday, he tugged one into 18, and that was with the wedge, and that was probably the worst swing of the week. And that was just one swing out of many. So I think to your point, those pulls with the wedges that were very present at Colonial, we did not see. There were some good wedge shots last week at the US Open, I guess, relative to US Open terms. So I think you do make a good point that the proximity he had last week
was gaining ridiculous numbers.
Right, but won't translate to gaining the as great of numbers this week because, I mean, how firm is it playing? I'd imagine with the humidity, it can't be that firm just because there's so much moisture in the air, and it's going to rain Friday. So this weekend it's going to be pretty soft. So you're going to have to throw darts close to the hole, but we'll see. A reason, if you really truly believe in Mr. Spieth, you have a valid argument to do so this week.
Yep, I agree, and that is something that we have made fun of Dan for saying, and I will agree with this week. Like that, this is the first time in a long while where he actually does have a chance, and that is relieving, because it was getting that part of the season where it wasn't even fun to watch, because even his depths, he was pouring in 50 footers every now and then. You just never knew where the round was going to take you, and he really had nothing that you could lean on, and now it's getting a lot better. So that's all in all, I think it's a very positive week at the U.S. Open. He continues to not score as well as he should, but he really did putt like abysmally. I can't describe. I think he probably physically could not have shot like more than 3 shots worse than what he did. So we're moving on. Jordan, do you have any last takes on Spieth specifically?
Probably not as bullish as you are this week.
What?
I
Not
don't know if
crazily-
any of us are
As bullish as
but
after round 1?
No, just like bullish for the Travelers.
I wouldn't characterize myself as bullish. I would say there's a reason to believe that it could happen, but based on what Bob has seen, and that's just relative. The proximity is just gonna have to be closer. You could hit good US Open shots here that are average to slightly below average, because 30 feet, in the
You have to make a lot of those putts to make up for that.
right 30 feet into a random par 4 17 versus at River Highlands versus 30 feet into 17 at the US Open is a very wide range of how many strokes you're gaining relative to the field. So
Yeah.
We'll see. I think I just want to see him clean up inside of 8 feet much better this week. Do I have faith in that? No, not really. But
Especially since these are greens he doesn't putt well at all.
yeah. And I was looking at the course comps too. Because we will get into triple double here. Wyndham, the Sedgefield Country Club is the closest course comp per day to golf. He hasn't played well really at either of those events in 10 years. So, or 7+ years. So it's kind of like, take it for what it is, take it with a grain of salt. But if you want to believe this week, you've got a reason to. If you don't, you have plenty of reasons to as well. But I am excited to watch this week. So that's kind of where I'll leave it at.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think this course fits in terribly, I guess.
No.
Especially with the iron and wedge play. I know it was a good week last week, but I don't really think it's too important here compared to other venues. We'll get into triple double. I actually don't have my plays yet, but I won't be looking at iron. I mean, I'll be looking at it obviously because it's very important, but won't be stressing it. But distance is kind of not too important here, which kind of sucks for him. He's hitting fairways, but he's also hitting it pretty far. But that's not going to be too important this week. But he's just got to putt better. If he putts better, I mean, his floor in theory should be like a T25 if he putts well, not even well, but just like decent, like gaining 0.3 of a shot per round. So that would be nice. He's got to putt better. You've lost strokes putting in 4 straight. I mean, that's embarrassing. He should be embarrassed by that.
Agree.
It's actually kind of funny that he's picking up putts today on a Wednesday when you've lost strokes putting in 4 straight. I mean, that's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I don't care if the speeds are going to be a little bit different tomorrow. You should be hitting every putt possible to try and see as many go down as possible. And you're picking up 8 to 9 footers on a Wednesday just because you don't feel like putting them out. No wonder he sucks on the greens right now. I mean, Dan and I saw it Wednesday at the US Open. I mean, he's picking up stuff and he's not making any in the actual tournament rounds. Maybe you should try putting these. Just a idea that I have, but we'll see. We'll see come tomorrow. It's a nice morning tea time. Was it 10:40? 10:30, 10:40?
Something like
10-4.
that. Yep. Mr.
Mr.
Schlaber will be
Clark.
picking me up.
Mr. Clark, he has some fresh greens, so don't want to hear any footprints from Mr. Spieth. I don't even know the
Yes.
last time he's had a really good putting round. Like, they've all been bad, but he hasn't really had a good putting round since round 2 of the Schwab.
Yeah, that was when he was 5 under through 6.
Yeah.
And
So-
that was all mostly because he made long putts. He's actually been pretty good outside of 15, 20 feet this year. Inside of that, not good. So it might be better if he hits wedges to 25 feet than 12, but that's just not sustainable, obviously. So, but Mr. Bob, now that you're in last place in triple double, I see
Ooh.
you are bringing out the big guns.
Wow.
Well, I've stuck with this strategy, and it's not doing me poorly, but last week was a turn for the worst.
The big guns.
Is that at the end of the day, there's really only 2 big events left this year after this, so I don't see any reason not to. These aren't final.
Come
I
on,
do
they're
believe
final.
that the top 2 are. I will be taking Mr. Spieth this week. I do think with the way he's hitting it, we'll see enough putts go in to get a top 25 at the worst. I'll be taking Tony Finau because he's just hitting the ball unbelievably, and this course does have a little bit of has been known to be generous to poor putters. Golf ball known to have to make as many putts here because you don't miss many greens here because it's a lot of wedges. So there's not as many up and downs. Keegan Bradley is my last, but I don't know.
I like that.
I like it. I probably won't change it because I'm lazy. But yeah, it's
I was
grind.
considering Mr. Bradley.
He's the defending champ,
Yes.
so obviously plays well here. I have my 3 plays. As Bob mentioned, I think so there's this event, the Open, and then the 2 playoff events. And I looked at my guys, and I believe I have enough in the tank for the last 4 big ones. I've not used Mr. Henley yet, so I'm gonna rock with him. He's 7th in the data golf rankings, so very, very good player, and makes me think he's kind of due for something. I know he popped on Sunday at the US Open, made everything. That is my one worry, is I normally, guys who play well Sunday are in the mix in majors. I kind of don't like to play them the next week because there's going to be an adjustment from playing Pinehurst number 2 in major championship condition to TPC River Highlands when it's 105 degrees outside.
Sure.
But he's playing well and big money this week, so I figure give him a roll. Straka is like, I love his game right now. He's hitting the ball really nicely. He got Pinehursted last week. A lot of poor putting and chipping. He doesn't have great course form, course history at River Highlands, and I put in Sedgefield as well. Russell Henley has played really well at both those spots, so that's another reason why I'm playing him. But I think Straka's he's hitting the ball really nicely this season, and he's been relevant in a couple of these big tournaments that Scheffler has won at. So maybe Scheffler wins by 8, but Straka finishes second, and I'll take that. Aubert. This one I've thought about a little bit. I think he's a good course fit, partly just because he's pretty darn good at golf. And if he had the chipping incident on 13 that he had on Sunday, I would be a lot less willing to play him, I think, because would have taken a lot out of him, but he regrouped, didn't play amazing on Sunday, but I think he'll have a few days now to kind of get back in gear, and this seems like a good spot for him to contend, if not sort of grab a win to kind of make up for the letdown that maybe was the back nine of Saturday at the US Open.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest purse left. So I felt like I had to include I like Henley and Straka, but I needed somebody with some serious winning upside, and that feels like Gobert.
I don't hate any of that. My picks are TBD. I was looking. I like Keegan a lot. So I like that from Bob. Definitely considering him. Definitely won't be young Spieth. Sorry, Bob. I need to see more than one good week of approach to really consider Mr. Spieth.
That's fair. I'm not sure Spieth will stick, to be honest.
Oh, what? You don't want to use him in an elevated event? He's a big time player.
Well,
If you take him off,
I
wins,
disagree.
So.
I mean, it's just the T41 at the US Open was his best performance in a major this year. I mean, he's peaking, as you can see. I mean, it went from cut to T43 to T41 at the majors. So
I don't want to waste Oberg because he was my fourth. I don't want to waste him when Dan's are. Well, maybe I have to though.
Decisions. I think I've already used Ludwig twice. I think, maybe not. No, only once. Interesting. I don't know if I'll use it this week though.
Yeah, I'm
gonna
do it. I'm gonna do it. I think
Ludwig didn't come in very high in the model this week.
You're going with Ludwig, Bob?
Yeah.
Chills. Spieth has a chance now.
We ride. You're welcome.
Mr. Ludwig's 20th in my model. Will the model be wrong? Very
Who'd you have number one in your model last week? Scheffler?
I don't remember. I took Bryson though. I took Morikawa. Morikawa is number one in my model this week.
Interesting.
Well, Mr. Henley's second.
I was gonna save Morikawa for this week, but I talked to Elise and she said he doesn't have course history here. I'm like, oh, okay.
How many times has he played here though?
If he's played here 3 or 4.
They've all been bad.
They've all been like mediocre. And that's when he was playing really well.
Interesting. Yeah, he's got a cut in T36.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not mad at the money I've gotten out of him this season, but he does feel like he's due for a win. 7
straight T25s. If he plays poorly this week, it is a course thing. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think when you kind of said it down. When you're playing well, you could play well anywhere.
Yeah, you just play wherever. If Henley's 2, is Scheffler 3?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say he can't be that far down the list. He's still
no. I don't think this is Scheffler week though. I didn't think it was last week. I was on the record saying I didn't think it was last week.
He made 4 birdies last week. That's crazy.
And I don't think
4
really
birdies
is
on.
unbelievable.
No, he didn't.
I don't think this is a Scott week this week either.
Maybe it'll never be a Scott week again.
Well, Southwind might be a Scott week. I have to look.
Yeah. I think it, as much as it like doesn't feel like a classic Scott week, he very much could play his B+ game and win.
Yeah. No, it's possible, but I don't know. I think he's probably
not in love with it this week though.
Tired
I think he's tired. Like I think he's human and he's not Woods. So
Well said.
Yeah, last week was his worst off the tee week in a long time, which is interesting. And then he sucked putting for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Crazy. Scheffler is a better putter than Spieth right now. That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's been a tough year on the greens since it was good for the first 2 months. It's been 4 for the last 3.
Since like Genesis.
We were talking how the surface last week too would fit him. Boy, did it not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I feel like statistically it does, but mentally, you just make less putts on grainy greens, and Spieth is very easily mentally derailed. So
Well said.
Yeah.
He's
Well, at
lost
least
strokes off the tee in all 5 of his appearances here.
that's wow. That is fascinating. At least he's getting putts to the hole on Wednesday practice rounds though.
whoa, yes, he is. Well, besides the 10-footer, which is his closest shot, that was left short.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
God, that's so bad. So if he leaves putt
10 feet's generous though. 12 feet's probably closer to it. I don't-
still though,
I don't think he put anything inside 10 feet today.
it's one thing to leave a 12-footer short at Pinehurst, the US Open. It's another to do it at TPC River Highlands in a no-cut event.
Don't hate.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying I will be if I see it tomorrow. And Cornwell's saying, "Oh, he didn't hit it." I'm gonna be mad.
I agree. Well,
Prepare for
we'll
it.
have the on-course reporting for you.
Yes, excited for you to be
Let's-
there. Bring out the bucket hat or
Ooh.
something.
All right, I'll do that one of the days.
Yeah, you should.
I'll get my friends. I don't own one, but my friend has abandoned dunes one that's pretty nice.
That's
Ooh.
nice.
Yeah.
Spieth went. He averaged a 71 while I wore the bucket hat last week. So
Congrats.
Not
maybe
bad.
that's all he needs.
Yeah.
Will not be happy with 71s this week. That's for sure.
Oh no.
But
No.
well, any more thoughts?
No, I might make the trip to the US Junior.
Where's that being played?
Oakland Hills.
Michigan?
Is it Michigan? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the site of the Open in 34.
Maybe you'll see Dan there.
Yeah, I have well, Chuck's playing obviously. And my best friend qualified, and then my other best friend's caddying for him, and Stocks seems to be playing in a pretty easy field to qualify on Thursday, or tomorrow. So if he qualifies, I'll go probably.
Look at that. They're playing
Yeah.
that course. Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
tough venue
very
for
cool.
these.
Yes,
divisions.
yes. My friend Matt, his uncle's Fran Quinn, and he played in the Open there in '96. So pretty cool.
Wow.
Generation to
pretty cool.
generation. Yeah. Fran asked me at the pool today when he was coming on the podcast, so we'll have to make that happen at some point.
Agreed. Well, off season will be here.
Oh, it's hopefully coming around the corner soon.
It is. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is
Right.
a big week. It is a big week. Well,
It is. There's
was
a lot
talking
to
with
build
Dan.
on that needs to be built on.
Yeah, this is the week. I guess he did have the deer, but I feel it's either he plays well or it's kind of packing in for next year.
Yeah.
You can't really afford another. I mean, the result has to come at some point.
Agree.
Yes.
But
at
yeah.
least it's 4 days. That could be a
Yeah.
blessing or a curse.
True.
That's well said.
But until Sunday night, when we do
Until
the
Sunday
live,
night. Yep.
Take care.
we will see you guys.
Peace.